Hi, everybody. Welcome to Saturday. Welcome to the weekend. We're almost in June. This year is flying by, and I think you can hear me because that circle is moving around my head. And yeah, let me go through the chat and say hi to everybody. Hi, Lizzie. And Lizzie, look at that. That's serendipitous. Two Lizzies in a row. Welcome. Hi, Lotus Flower. Joe, I haven't seen you in forever. Hi. Hi, Kumari. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Steve and Carol. Hi, everybody. So glad you're all here. Let's see. Oh, Carol is saying the Diddy trial is crazy. Yeah, it sounds like, yeah, I would have to agree with that. I was having some words with someone about that, and I probably shouldn't mention it, but I don't know. What do you do with someone that's that awful? Like my friend was telling me about how now, of course, I'm hearing this secondhand. Okay, so I didn't hear it directly from my friend. Well, she heard it on the news and she's relaying to me. And she was saying that there were some employees of Diddy's that he accused them of stealing money from him, and they weren't. So he would force them to take a lie detector test. So he would throw them in a car, take them to this place to take a polygraph test. And one of these people, she was so anxious that she kept failing the exam. She kept not failing. Um, she had so much anxiety, they couldn't do the exam. So they told her, you need to call. So they did this 5 times. They drove this woman on 5 different days allegedly to this place to take the polygraph test, and they told her, if you don't, we're just gonna throw you in the river. Like, what? Oh my gosh. um yeah, can you imagine that anxiety? Like, even if you know you didn't do it, but you don't know if the lie detector test is going to catch that, or if there'll be a false positive. Carol's also asking to please review Williams' Scarfgate. So I tried looking at that footage, and around Christmas time, because I wanted to post about it around Christmas time, and I didn't. I couldn't get like a really clear. Like didn't feel like I was adding to anything that wasn't already out there. But I'll take a look again. Hi, Kate. Hi, Peekaboo. Hi, Susie. Hi, Ivy. Welcome, everyone. Hi, TR. Eva. Hi, Very Prickly Thistle. Hi. Hi, Lauren. Coral Sand. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Hi, Lulu's mom. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate it. Hi, Eva. Okay, so Kate says, been watching the Diddy trial coverage too. So many narc traits in him. I've dealt with it to a lesser degree. So sad for those people, and they are so brave for speaking up. Absolutely. And so, there's we as humanity are very lucky in that there are narcissists, and a lot of times, like when we talk about Megan, like she is, in my opinion, a malignant narcissist. And then you have people like Diddy and Bryan Kohberger, who is the man on trial for the passing, and I'm careful what words I use on YouTube, because I think there are some words that get flagged that are the crimes, and the things they do are so beyond, um are just so beyond. And these are all of these are under the umbrella of cluster B personalities. So cluster B personalities include sociopaths and psychopaths. It includes narcissists. It includes histrionic personality disorder as well. So there's a lot of commonality between all of these. And like, to me, Diddy, I don't know that he's a narcissist. I feel he's beyond that. Like, that level of maliciousness, and I just like no disregard for the law, right? He was creating his own law. Um, yeah, yeah. So, and that kind of segues me into my other channel, everybody. So I have, oops, wrong one. Where is it? How come when I add it? Okay, there we go. So I have another channel called Revealing the Crime. You guys have been so great by subscribing to it. I gained like 300 subscribers just in this last week. And oh, thank you so much, Poncho. I appreciate it. I do want to say, everybody, I appreciate all like everything you all do, all the support, all the comments, and everything. I I would ask you just in the future, and if you feel compelled to do it, that in lieu of sending super chats or super stickers, if you could please instead, if you feel compelled to do so, donate to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. They offer 24/7 support. And I always put this up here because you never know if there's someone in the audience that may need to contact for a reason other than donating. So this is a resource that's there for you. They have an AI chat. It looks like they have regular text messaging that you can have with people. Um, yeah. So I really appreciate all of you. So going back to all of that. So yes, I do have this other channel, Revealing the Crime, and I'm fascinated by the Bryan Kohberger case for a different reason than you might think. And the reason is, I don't know what order to talk about this in. So I'm I watched the Dateline episode about it, and I'm moved to tears because it's, oh, thank you, Carol, because it's so, these were four beautiful people in the prime of their life. Who knows what impact they would have had on the world, and just their untimely passing. I don't want to cry about it, but the two of the victims were best friends. They were sleeping next to each other in the bed. Like I just can't. Okay. And I'm getting emotional thinking about it, and this is exactly why people need to be caught and justice needs to be served, in my opinion. So there's a fascinating part of the Kohberger case in the way he was identified. They he in his well, okay, all of this is allegedly and it's an accusation and none of it has been proven in court. They haven't gone to court to trial yet, which brings me to another topic. I really want to live stream the trial. So I'm hoping to grow my Revealing the Crime channel enough that I can live stream on it. The trial begins, I think, first week of August. So, oh, thank you, Pancho. I appreciate it. Um, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so in his savageness, it looks like he was anticipating only one of those people to be home, and he was surprised when the best friend was sleeping next to who they think is the alleged victim here, and the third person walked by and became a victim because she saw him, and then her boyfriend was the final victim. So in all of this chaos, he dropped his knife sheath, and they collected this knife sheath and they found a piece of DNA. When they entered that DNA in the CODIS system, that's the system that if you've, and I don't know exactly what it is, but if you've been a felon or it's basically a criminal type database. You've been in trouble with the law, so they have a database of your DNA. So whoever this DNA belonged to, they had not committed a crime. They're not in the system. And this is where the really fascinating part comes in. They used genetic genealogy to find him. I'm going to go into that a little later in the video. I find genetic genealogy so fascinating. I heard about it when they first caught the Golden State Killer, and I'll tell you guys all about like what is genetic genealogy, how do they use it, and since like 2017, 2018, I will casually go to websites and I'll be like, I wish I could do this for a job, right? I wish I could help solve cold cases like this. And I've been saying it for years and years and years and years. And I did it, everybody. I signed up for a program to do that kind of work. So I'm really excited to start that. And so you can see like passions are coming out. I'm really excited about it. So let me get caught up on some of the chats. Kate says, I think that Diddy and others never saw social media coming. Yep. And they would never have to own up to their terrible behavior. Yes. Poncho is also fascinated by the Kohberger case. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. And it's all of us as a community making a difference. I really feel that what has been done with this channel, like, I don't wanna say I did it because it's not me, it's all of you, and the way you all interact with each other in the comment section, there's just so much respect and so much love and so much empathy. I absolutely I just love it so much, and, um, yeah, if we can do things to even if they're small things, that can make an impact, we can do it, yeah. Poncho says, "Have been following the case since it happened. Can't wait for your coverage." Thank you, Poncho. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow our sister channel, Revealing the Crime. There it is. Yes, Kat, that is the Idaho 4. Yes, yes, the National DNA Database. Yep, it's ran by the FBI. Um, Lisa says it's like the OJ case. Ron was an innocent victim, wrong place, wrong time. Yeah, and I mean, both of them were were I mean, both I would say were innocent, but I it's like someone that's, like, completely not connected to the purpose of the person, um, with the intent. Like, OJ had one intent, and Ron Goldman ended up being, collateral damage, right? So it's very, very sad. It's very sad. Thank you, Carol. I'm so excited about it. So the I signed up for like the bigger certificate. It's called the PLSGC. This is such a new field that it's not even really standardized. So I tried to go with something that's the most standard of all. And the PLSGC, I think that's what it's called. Sorry. Um, has three main components. And it includes some electives that if you are able to couple it all together, you can get a certificate in DNA and genetic genealogy. And that's what you need to be able to do these investigative type work. So I'm it's 40 classes total, but the first 15, what I'm strategizing is to do those 15 so I get that certificate so that I can start actually working and then complete the rest of the courses. So I'm hoping by the end of summer, guys, fingers crossed. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Ivy. And it's been years that I haven't, I was looking at it and I'd be like, why would I even do this, right? Because I have a degree and I have a career, and it was more like, why would I spend this money when I already have spent so much money on education? But when this is a thought that's coming to me year after year after year after year, it's like, just invest that money in the future, and it's something that it's not a fad, right? Because I've been thinking about it for a long time. Yeah. Thank you, Kate. I love it. I love it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you've experienced that. And I'm glad to know that you had a positive experience with them. Um, that's very empowering. So I'm really happy to hear that. Um, Steve says that's amazing, helping the victim's family get closure and justice. Yeah, absolutely. Kathy says, Sheriff's Department found me to inform me bio dad passed. I had no connection to him. I asked, how did you find me? Yep. She said, we have ways. Yes, this is exactly it. Isn't it fascinating? One of the things they told me when I was talking to them on the phone, I was talking to the head, well, basically the owner, because it's a trade school, and um, I was asking her, like, what do the jobs look like after this? And she was saying how one of her students was hired by the United States government because there are something like over 200,000 graves in military cemeteries that they don't know who the family is. So they're trying to find the families of these unmarked graves. Like, what purpose, right? To have that kind of job, to bring that kind of closure, to unify families. It's even if it is like yours, Kathy, you never met them, it's still finding out, maybe a little bit of a piece of you that you didn't know. Okay, Cat says look up harsh reality. He has covered the Idaho 4 in depth. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Lulu's mom. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so, so much. All right. So are we ready to get into it? Do we want to talk about Harry and Meghan? And this new article that came out. So my plan today is talk through the Harry and Meghan article that just came out. I'm going to ask you two questions at the end of it, somewhat fun, somewhat serious, and and then we'll transition over into the Bryan Kohberger article. I do want to tell you all that I'm going to clip these two videos out and post them on the on each YouTube channel. So for example, the Diana one, I'll clip it out and I'll post it on revealing the narc, and the Koberger video I'll put on revealing the crime. Thank you so much, Carol. Thank you. Sometimes you just got to do it. If you've had this calling, and if I had only pursued it 7 years ago, I would have been doing it for 7 years by now, but it's okay. Everything happens at the right time. So, yeah. All right. Okay. So let's get to the first article. This was in the Daily Mail, and it's titled Prince Harry Wanted Princess Diana's sisters to see similarities between Meghan Markle and his mother, but they didn't think she fit in with the royal family, according to royal experts. Actually, give me 1 second, everybody. Sorry, I need to look something up. Okay, there we go. Um, yeah, so this is the article I want to talk about, and we're gonna get into some, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so the article begins. It says Diana had three siblings, Lady Sarah, Lady Jane, and Charles Spencer, and was particularly close to her brother, who was the closest in age to the late princess. Not able to go to his mother for approval, Harry went to his aunt's to introduce his girlfriend, Meghan Markle, in late 2017 before the couple were married the following year. He told the BBC that he thought Diana would have been over the moon about his relationship with Meghan, but the sisters were not in agreement. Royal biographer Tom Bower wrote about this meeting in his explosive tell all book, Revenge: Meghan, Harry, and the War Between the Windsors. So the next part, instead of um, showing how the Daily Mail paraphrased that section in Tom Bower's book, I actually went and I pulled the quote because I want to hear straight from the source what was said. And this is what it says. It says, by then, Harry had introduced Meghan to Diana's two sisters, Lady Jane and Sarah, and her best friend, Julia Samwell. Harry assumed that Diana's family and friends would see a similarity between Diana and his fiancée. Both, he said, shared the same problems. He was disappointed. No one agreed that his vulnerable mother had anything in common with his girlfriend. More discomforting for him, they thought Meghan would not fit in with the royal family. And how right were their instincts, right? And it's interesting to me that when Harry is comparing Meghan to Diana, he's not, he's comparing their problems. They shared the same problems. That really stands out to me. And when he was introducing them, He genuinely believed that they would see, that they would look at Megan and immediately recognize shades of Diana. And it's weird because to him, it's almost like Megan's not just a partner, and this is something we've all talked about, that she's a living continuation of his mother's story, and that's heavy, right? It feels like he's trying to resolve that grief. We know that, we can see through his actions it is, and it explains why, um, he has sunk the way he has, right? Let me catch up on your comments. Oh, thank you, Lulu's mom. She would have been. Oh, you got it, Kathy. You got it. Carol says also Jane Fellows was married to Robert Fellows, who was the former private secretary to the Queen. Yes, Carol. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Diana call him one of the men in gray suits or something like that? Let me know if I'm wrong. Yeah. Yeah, shows you he knows nothing about his mother. Yeah. Yeah. So when he goes to approach his family and they seem to reject his belief, it's to him, to Harry, this is not a personal rejection. It's symbolic because they didn't just think Meghan wasn't a good match for Harry. They also thought she wouldn't fit in with the royal family at all. So Meghan didn't pass the Diana circle test. Yeah, so basically when you take this all together, it seems this is not just a simple disagreement. It was a total reality check for Harry. And Harry had this narrative in his mind. He had this romanticized thread connecting Diana and Meghan. And the people that actually knew Diana, they did not see it. Yeah, so let's continue on with the article. Oh, okay. Sorry, I forgot. Then I wanted to go into how Harry describes this interaction in 2017. And guess what? It's not in the book. It's not in there. Harry mentions visiting Diana's grave with Meghan alongside her sisters, but this is happening, I believe, after they were married. It's framed as this deeply emotional moment, like he's seeking some kind of spiritual blessing. But what's just as important in the book is what's not. So there is no conflict that's mentioned here. There's no pushback, no sign that the people closest Diana felt any discomfort about this comparison. And I think, a lot of us have thought that Megan may have been a very heavy handed influence on the writing of Spare. And that's when it hit me. The red flag isn't just the comparison, it's the careful omission of anyone who challenged it. So if Megan did have a hand in Spare, and to me, certainly she did, we're not just seeing storytelling, we're seeing narrative control because this is what works in narcissistic dynamics. They don't just crave attention, they reshape reality. So to me, this is what happened here, and that's not love, that's projection. Let me get caught up on some of your comments. Let's see. Poncho says it's one thing that Harry has disturbing issues with the Diana Megan comparison, but it's much more disturbing. Yes. Yes, Poncho, exactly. She takes advantage of it. And she encourages it, right? She absolutely encourages it. Thank you, Honesty and Truth. Honesty and Truth says fire at Althorpe House is wrong. It was at Dallington Grange farmhouse, not in the park. It is 5 miles from the Spencer estate, but Earl Spencer owns the property. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad that it wasn't the Althorpe house, and hopefully everyone is safe and the damage wasn't too much. I haven't followed the coverage too much. I saw the headlines, but haven't followed, since then. Sir Squirrelot, hi, says, "Hi, RV. Harry did not know him. his mother. He has a childlike myopic vision of her that is warped by his own psychosis. Yeah, and he probably also watches tons of footage of her and how kind she was and how really she was good with talking to the crowds and um, empathizing with people and doing humanitarian work. Kate says what Megan did have was that she used the same perfume that Diana used. Yes, Kate. And okay, I have a side note here. So I was under the impression, so this is all allegedly, right? That Megan used the same perfume. I did a video about this. It didn't get a lot of views because I think maybe people thought it was one thing, but it wasn't. And in that video, I talked about why using the sense of smell is predatory. And I talked about how the sense of smell works, how it is the only sense that is directly tied in with I want to say, the emotional part of the brain. It bypasses logic. So using scent is incredibly a predatory thing to do. On At the same time, well, not at the same time, but I wanted to know what Princess Diana's perfume smelled like. Okay, not to manipulate anybody, but I just want to know what does it smell like. So I purchased it. It's Penhaligon's. Bluebell is the name. When the box came, you guys, it's literally the As Ever Jam box. So that I think is where Megan got her packaging for her As Ever brand. I You guys look it up. You know what? I'm gonna post it in the comments here. And sorry if I spell it wrong, but let me see if I can highlight my own comment. There it is. Yeah. So it's kind of it's more than just using the scent. I think she used the packaging also. Yeah. Okay, Ivy agrees. She did write a lot of it. Carol says it's a book Megan can use for divorce proceedings. Yeah, where she will end with a better deal. Oh, thank you, Lauren. Thank you so much. I'm glad that these videos are helpful and really that's my goal. I appreciate it so much. All right. Okay, you guys, I'm going to take a quick break to take a sip of my coffee. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. So let's continue with yeah, Carol, no original thought in her body. Yeah. Yeah, and I think at first, people were speculating that it was the Kim Kardashian one, but literally it's the Bluebell scent box that is the As Ever Jam box. Thank you, Sir Squirrelot. I appreciate it. Okay, let's continue with this article. It says but instead of the sisters voicing their concern, it was Charles Spencer, Diana's brother, who weighed in. The Earl, who had been married 3 times, cautioned his nephew not to marry in a rush. His advice provoked a bitter reaction, Bauer wrote. This was going to be really hard, Harry would later reflect on establishing Meghan's place in the family. So I want to, this is something to really talk about, right? Because his uncle is approaching him gently and cautioning him, and he got a bitter reaction. Now, that bitter reaction is not this statement, "This was going to be really hard," because it says here, Harry later reflected on that. So, we don't know what his bitter reaction was. We don't know what he said back to his uncle. It it could be anything, and to me, what really jumps out here is how it seems Harry's response was probably emotionally loaded. All his uncle did was give him some grounded, probably well-meaning advice, don't rush into marriage. And especially coming from Charles Spencer, who's been married multiple times, it doesn't feel like a shocking piece of advice that he would give, right? And it seems like this having this reaction of this is going to be really hard. That's not a reaction to advice, it's a reaction to resistance. And it suggests to me that they've already decided that Megan had to fit, that the narrative was locked in. So when reality pushed back, he didn't reconsider it. He dug in, it seems. To me, this is all a red flag and it's emotional projection. So I'm curious to know what you all think about that. Oh, hi, Teaspoon. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. Lisa said, but the US courts declared that you couldn't use spare to prove Harry took drugs. So how could another court use it? I don't think they can without being overturned. That's interesting, Lisa. I don't know much about how that would be used. I wonder if it depends on the different type of court, like, criminal court versus civil court, and I'm not sure. I would assume that divorce goes through civil court, but I don't know. I don't know, don't quote me on it. But maybe the it can't be used, um, as a means or as evidence to, um why am I blanking on all the words, you guys? To deport him, maybe it can't be used for that, but it can be used in a divorce trial. I don't know if there are any lawyers here, please, please let us know if you know. Hi, Tessie, welcome. Yeah, so let's continue. So I'm going to ask you all two questions. The first is, do you think Diana would have seen any similarities between Megan and herself? And the second question is, if Megan did have a hand in writing Spare, what do you think got left out besides this? This will be the end of the clip that I'm going to post on YouTube. And YouTube audience, if you see this video and you want to find out what everybody responded to these two questions, please drop into the live video and I'm going to give you a timestamp of 32 minutes and 59 seconds approximately. That's where you can find the answers. So let me see what some of you are saying. Um, Yes, Harry takes every piece of advice, yes, as an attack. If it is against what he wants to hear, it is an attack. Yes, their whole relationship is a red flag. Absolutely. Honesty and Truth says, I mean, really, who would take Spencer's advice? Multiple adultery and marriages. That man is not trustworthy in love. It's true. It's true. But I also think cautioning, like what he's saying, cautioning I think it would be different if his advice was run into marriage. Someone who's had these types of marriages should not be advising people to hurry up and get married, right? Someone who but giving the advice of taking it slow seems like advice that maybe Spencer himself should take. Yeah. Harry was sold a story, yet both sides of the family didn't see the likeness to Diana. Exactly. The whole world doesn't see it. She keeps trying. She keeps trying to make these connections and we don't see it, right? Honesty and truth said Oh, Margaret is responding to honesty and truth and says he admitted he is not good at relationships. Lou's mom says, I don't think there are any similarities to Diana that weren't fabricated. Yeah. No, Diana would have seen the red flags. Diana and Megan's negative traits are similar. Diana would deny she and Megan are alike. I think she would deny that they are alike. Um, I think one thing that they do have in common, and I know more about this with Megan than with Diana, but both of them would sometimes tell photographers where they were. And I think that's as deep as I can go with I can't think of anything beyond that. Teaspoon says, I think Diana would have seen right through Megan. Yep, I agree. Carol says William was smart to say Catherine was her own person. Yes. Yes, and I love that. There's an independence in Catherine, right? Even the way when they're walking together, Catherine stands her ground. They don't need to hold hands all the time. They're each their own person. Exactly. And what about this question? If Megan did have a hand in writing Spare, what do you think? What else do you think got left out? And I have an immediate idea, but I shouldn't say it. And I'm not going to say it, but I know some of you are going to say it. Um, yeah, yeah. Steve says he probably left out that she's a malignant narcissist and sociopath, allegedly. Lulu's mom says Diana wouldn't have allowed them to marry. Might as well start from the beginning. She wouldn't have made it past the front door. I agree. I agree. Valerie says, I don't think that there is anything about Megan that resembles Princess Diana. I think that Diana would be horrified and so disappointed with Harry's actions. Her heart would be broken. I completely agree, Valerie, completely. Kate says, kind of don't think Megan would have targeted Harry if he had this. We're on the same. I don't even need to finish reading, but I'm with you, Kate. That if Harry had a solid motherly figure in his life, I think so. He wouldn't have chosen a woman like Megan, I think. The fact that Diana had passed is a main reason she could manipulate him. Yes. Okay, Carol says Diana did cut people out of her life. Sarah says Diana was a bit shy, so very different. Sir Squirrelot says MM tries and fails to channel Diana. Catherine does homage to Diana's style and is building her framework as Princess of Wales and future queen independently. Yes. Melissa says we aren't bashing Diana. We just acknowledge she was a flawed person like the rest of us. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, every single one of us are flawed. And I have a great admiration for Diana. And at the same time, I think Diana was a vulnerable person and an emotional person, and there's nothing wrong with that. I also am quite emotional, but it's just looking at things as factual sometimes, right? Um, yeah, Sarah says how she flirted with Will. Yeah, gross. I get it, Sarah. That's the part she wouldn't put in the book, or she wouldn't let Harry put in the book. Sir Squirrelot says, I think Diana would have disliked Megan intensely, and I'm not sure she would have been completely on board with Catherine until she saw what a good mother she was. Peekaboo says that he asked to meet her family, and she told him she was an orphan. Valerie says, I agree, Kate. I don't think this marriage would have happened if Diana had been there. Absolutely. Lulu's mom says, Megan is the type who wrote over and over Miss William Windsor Mountbatten, Queen. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised about that, Lulu's mom. Okay, so what about this question? What do you think got left out? I think probably a lot of the nastiness Megan had towards Catherine. I think the bullying behavior definitely got left out from Spare. Um, I think maybe the true story of how they met got left out. Yeah. Yeah. So how are you all doing? You all doing well? You all ready to move on to the next topic? Steve says the only thing that Meghalire and Diana had in common were the clothes Meghalire wore to cosplay Diana. Very well said. Oh, you know what's another? Oh my gosh, you guys. So I've been working on another video. I need to do a lot of research and I haven't been able to do it. But if I'm not mistaken, so I'm going off of memory here. The person who did Diana's makeup for her Vanity Fair photo shoot, I think is the same person who did Megan's makeup for her Vanity Fair photo shoot. And now I'm not 100% sure if that's right. Um, Let me see if I can find the article because I don't want to give you false information. Yes, Meghan Markle used the same makeup artist as Princess Diana for her Vanity Fair cover shoot. Yeah. And I can show you the image really quickly. Let's see. Sorry, guys, while I pull it up, it's just a screenshot of the article. And there it is. Megan used the same makeup artist as Princess Diana for her Vanity Fair cover shoot. So what I was gonna do, I'm preparing to make this video. I have so many on the back burner, like ideas ready to go. But this Vanity Fair one, it's gonna be such a big undertaking because I also want to compare the articles and I want to compare the photos. And yeah, I think it's a big undertaking. Let me know also, do you all think this would be an interesting topic to cover? I don't know that I've seen anyone else talk about it. Um, but yeah, you all let me know. Let me remove that. All right. Okay, Melissa says they left out the truth about Archie's birth. Yep. Yep. Hi Jay, I've been on 41 minutes. And I'm glad you're here. Yep. Tessie says, thank you, Tessie. All the bad things about MM were kept out of spare. Diana never ever would have allowed Prince Harry to be so spiteful about Prince William or King Charles, in my opinion. 100% agree, Tessie. 100%. I agree. Yeah. All right. Do you all want to go on to the next topic? Do you all want to talk about the Bryan Kohberger case now? Um, I'm excited to do it, and I know it's something different for our channel. So I don't know if how many of you will feel about it, but I hope you like it. And just as a reminder, I do have this other channel called Revealing the Crime. The conversation we have for the rest of this video, I mean, while we talk about the Kohberger case, I'm going to clip it out and I'm going to post it on Revealing the Crime. The Kohberger case, in case you all missed it, is the Idaho 4. They were 4 university students that were savagely. Sorry, my dog is drinking water. It scared me. That their lives were taken very savagely, and the accused is a man named Bryan Kohberger with his trial coming up in August. So I'm hoping to build up enough momentum on Revealing the Crime where I can live stream the trial on that channel. Um, it'll be really fun, I think, to be able to talk it through with all of you. And I think it would be a great learning experience because there's so many questions like um, how is evidence processed? What type of evidence is acceptable? And I think it would be very interesting. Okay, so Honesty and Truth, thank you so much, says Diana wanted true love. She was a fabulous ambassador for the UK. Nobody gets everything they want in life. She is truly missed, but Powys, I'm not sure if I read that right, is going to make a great queen. Princess of Wales, maybe? Sorry if I missed that. Okay, Peekaboo says, let's do it. Give all of us a sample of the other channel. Yay, Peekaboo. Um, thank you so much, Princess Goose. I appreciate it. And I ask all of you, if you could, in lieu of super chats and super stickers, if you could please make donations to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And I'm going to set it up for you so you can see exactly where you can go to make that donation. There is a link in the description of this video. And should you require that resource, and I hope none of you do, here is their information. If you need to talk to someone, there's the phone number. If you need to chat or text, um, there it is. Yeah, and I appreciate all of you for your generosity and I really think we're making a difference in the world, so I appreciate it. Sir Squirrelot says, we know that Harry let the old girlfriends and Tiggy read the book before publication. He did not listen to them. I did not recognize that. Even Tiggy, that's another story I want. I'm gonna ask you all a question because I'm all conspiracy theory about this one. Do you really think her blog was named The Tig because of the wine? What do you think? Let me know what you think because I think there's a not a reference, but like a call out or a familiar, trying to make some sort of connection to Tiggy, in my opinion. But yeah, you all let me know what you think about that. Princess Goose says she did want true love and believed that she had it with Charles because she was so young. You could see, yes, yes, Princess Goose. You could see her stare at him with loving eyes. Absolutely, Princess Goose. And this is it. It hurts so much to watch that because she thought she had the fairy tale. She really thought this is going to be her life and she was so young. Yes, I agree. I agree with that. Okay, everyone, let me get to the Bryan Kohberger case. Um, and yeah, let's get into it. So the article I want to go through was published in the Daily Mail, and it's all the explosive evidence the Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger doesn't want jurors to see. So we're going to talk about all of that. This photo on the left, according to, it makes me sick to my stomach. According to Dateline, from what I remember, this photo occurred just hours after what he did, allegedly, because he hasn't been convicted yet. Look at that smile and the thumbs up. It makes you sick. Seriously. Okay. And the people on the right, those are the people that, well, it's a combination of the people that were living in the home and also Xana Kernodle's boyfriend. So the two girls that are on top, like what is that called when they're sitting on your shoulders? Those two were the best friends that were that passed, and then the gentleman with his girlfriend Xana Kernodle, those were the other two, and then the two ladies on the outside, they live in the home with them. Um, let's see. Oh, Pancha says, "I'm surprised Tig, I can't pronounce it, sorry, is okay with her saying that." Yeah. Okay, thank you, Honesty. Thank you. Eva says she was being ambiguous with the name Tiggy. I think this was like another one of those subtle nuggets she put in there to say, "Look how connected we look how it's meant to be. Can you believe my blog is named after this woman you love so much while wearing Diana's perfume?" Man. Okay, and then in this image also we're seeing the knife and sheath. Even though the actual weapon has not been found, but the sheath has. Okay, so the article begins. It says the 30-year-old suspect is accused of breaking into an off-campus student home in Moscow, Idaho, in the early hours of November 13, 2022. And fatally, there are going to be some words I'm not going to say just because I don't want them flagged on YouTube. Fatally injuring four students: Ethan Chafin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonsalves. I'm pronouncing it how I've heard it pronounced in Dateline and all the other shows. So two other roommates survived, one of which came face to face with the masked killer just moments before the attack. So this is the actual crime: four young students brutally murdered in their home in the middle of the night. The fact that two of the roommates survived and one even came face to face with the masked killer adds another chilling layer to this. It's not just about evidence, it's about this psychological trauma that's also left behind and how these survivors are going to carry this moment forever. This is what makes the case feel so urgent and absolutely devastating. The article continues. It says, with his August 11 trial date looming, Kohberger's defense has made an 11-hour bid for a delay, citing a recent Dateline episode that revealed bombshell new details about the case. The defense wanted to keep a wealth of evidence from a haunting 911 call to the phrase bushy eyebrows and the suspect's Amazon shopping history out of the trial. So you can see the trial is approaching. The defense is trying to find problems with each of the evidence that the prosecution is going to bring forward so that it's not presented during the trial. And that recent Dateline episode, I was actually surprised at how much information was in there that I hadn't heard before. They really did drop a lot of bombshells. The defense wants to keep as many key pieces of this evidence, like the 911 call, that quote about the bushy eyebrows. So, one of the roommates, the one that came face to face with the masked murderer, they described him as having bushy eyebrows. So, the defense wants that um, not to be used as part of the case. And the Amazon history, that it's wild. It's wild. And I'll tell you more about what is in his Amazon search history. To me, this is the defense almost saying, "Well, you've got a point there, right? That's the reason why they don't want it um, to be shown." Let's see. Poncho says, I did some research on the attorneys who represent in the Idaho case, and apparently the mom of one of the girls was represented by Brian's attorney in the past for drugs. I did not know that. Yes, he is sick, Sir Squirrelot. He's really, really sick. Um, there, there's so much information in my brain. I don't even know what part to like bring out. That if you can watch that Dateline episode, I highly recommend. But in that episode, it talks about how when after he committed the crimes, he went to Pennsylvania, where his family is from, to spend the holidays with them. And while he was there, he was watching documentaries about Ted Bundy. And he even was taking selfies in a black hooded sweater, having the hood over his head, mimicking pictures of Ted Bundy. Like, this is, in my opinion, and we're going to get into the genetic genealogy of all of this in a second. In my opinion, these are the actions of someone, and I will show other things that make me believe this. These are the actions of someone that was going to do this again, in my opinion. Um, one of the families has been grifting for money. I did not know that. Yes, he is very scary looking. Kat says there's a lot of evidence that says he didn't do it and he is being stitched up. I don't know, Kat, and I haven't seen that. All I'm gonna do is go through what's in this article and what I've seen in Dateline and the knowledge of the case I have so far. And I'm never the type, and I hope all of us are, if I'm presented with facts that contradict something that I thought was a fact, I'm completely open to hearing and listening to all of that. We're watching this unfold, right before our eyes, and I think it's interesting to see how the justice system is working, negative or positive, right? So, yeah. I don't think so, Carol. I don't think he was an ex-boyfriend. In fact, they found footage of him, like, stalking many, many women, and including the victim, and of course, they're not sharing all of that. I think a lot of that is gonna come out in the trial. Cryptic charm, Amazon shopping history, mine is a USB bin bags. Oh my gosh, I just got a new comforter set. So, and some silver sequin, throw pillows that are gonna go on my new bed. That's what I got. Okay, Tessie thinks the blog name Tiggy, or the blog name Tig, is for Tiggy the nanny. This is what I think too. It's just too much of a coincidence, right? Hi, Alice. I'm glad you're here. Kat says loads of things don't add up. they have his vehicle going back and forth and back and forth. They have it on the Ring camera footage that his car is going back and forth, or cell phone data that showed he starting in July, he would go to their neighborhood, and he lived 15 minutes drive away, but he would show up to pretty much their neighborhood. It's odd. It's odd. I mean, we'll find out more, and of course, everything I'm saying is what, second, third, fourth, fifth hand information, right? So, um, yeah. Yes, Carol, that's what they say. That's what they say, yeah. Yeah. Okay, Pancho saying, "Why do you think the 911 call was so delayed?" I'm assuming they're in college in a party house, maybe didn't realize what was going on. I I think so. I think that's a big part of it, and I mean, imagine you come face th s so I'm in my 40s, okay? So I've had a lot of life experiences. So try to picture yourself at 20. You're in college, and you see some masked person go by, you run in your room, you lock the door, and you don't know what's going on. It's almost like sometimes when you know something bad has happened, you wanna delay hearing about it. So I think that could have been another part, like, if she wouldn't have to face what happened if she didn't call 911, or until she called 911. And according to that Dateline episode, the 2 other roommates were texting each other, and they were trying to text the other roommates, and nobody the other roommates, the ones that had passed away, were not responding. So they were also very scared. They called some friends to help them go and look. Yeah. I mean, I think the response is, um, trauma, fear, maybe, being young, maybe there was a party there. So, it's college town. So yeah, Sarah says he was a psych criminology student who thought he could learn to get away with it. And he he wasn't very nice to some of his instructors, and he actually downloaded an article that one of his instructors wrote, and I wanted to read through that article. Actually, it's a scientific article, so it's not an easy article to get through, but you know what? Let me find out what it was, because the title says it all. Um, Sorry, guys, for the tangent. Sorry for the silence. I'm looking it up. We're getting there. We're getting there. I have it saved as screenshots on my phone. I just don't remember at what point. Um, okay, I'm gonna have to look through my screenshots. Sorry, everybody. So let's see. I watched Dateline, that episode with Bryan Kohberger, with my mom on Mother's Day, which means that was May 11. So that's a good place for me to start my search. And guess what? I found it. I found the article. The article is titled Ted Bundy on the Malignant Being, an analysis of the justificatory discourse of a serial killer. And essentially, my understanding of this article is how how do they justify what they do? So this article was in his search history, and it is the author of it is a professor at that same school, Washington State University, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it's completely fascinating, and I do wanna say, Kat, all opinions are welcome here. We respect, like, everything, and I'm open to it all because I feel sometimes, not on this channel, but sometimes people lose sight that you're talking to another person, right? And yeah. Lizzie's like, "RV, you're 40?" So, actually, my birthday is coming up. I'm born in June, and I'm gonna be 43. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue with the article. That was a long tangent, wasn't it? Okay, so let's get into the Amazon shopping history. Um, Kohberger tried and failed to ban his damning Amazon shopping history evidence that ties him to the murder weapon from the trial. When I don't want to say that word, was discovered inside the home, a brown leather K-bar knife sheath was found next to Mogan's body. DNA on the clasp of the sheath was a match to Kohberger. After the murders, Kohberger appeared to try to cover his tracks, researching how to delete his Amazon account activity. And this is something that the court documents are showing. So y- I do want to just pause here because he purchased the weapon on Amazon. And it seems that everything around it, the timing, the shipping address, the purchase history, it's all tied to him allegedly. Um, and then after he's searching on Google how to delete his Amazon account activity. Um, so to me, that's a breadcrumb, in my opinion. It is circumstantial, right? But it's just something to think about. And to me, it's also incriminating because it shows awareness, it shows planning, it shows concealment. Yeah, and then I saw on the Dateline episode that he was searching to purchase another knife and sheath. So if I'm not mistaken, the knife has not been found, the sheath has been found, and then he was on Amazon again. He did a search to purchase it again. Yeah. I'm a baby. Sometimes, sometimes I can be. Yeah. Carol says Amazon could show intent, which can prove first degree. And it's exactly with this that I believe why. Well, okay, let me get to it. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Okay, so the article continues and says Koberger's account then allegedly searched for a replacement knife or sheath. The murder weapon has not been found. Despite Koberger's team claiming his Amazon purchase history was out of context, please explain to me how it's out of context. You either searched for it or you didn't. But, anyways, is out of context, incomplete, and unfairly prejudicial, the judge ruled it is highly relevant and establishes a significant connection between the defendant and K-bar knife and sheath. The article, this is the last part of the article that we'll read. It says both legal experts tell the Daily Mail the Amazon search history, when coupled with the DNA evidence on the sheath, is the most damaging evidence the defense failed to get thrown out. With Levin saying they go directly to premeditation and planning, Romani believes the sheath evidence and the Amazon history combined is the smoking gun in the case against Koberger. The biggest blow for the defense has to be everything related to the knife. There's no question that is by far away the biggest hurdle the defense has to overcome. So this is this shows a pattern, right? The weapon that was used was one that he had previously ordered, and then he's on Amazon again, potentially shopping around for another weapon just like that again. The the defense biggest problem in my opinion isn't that it's just a single piece of evidence. It's the story that when you combine them all, what it tells. So when you combine the cell phone data saying that he would drive that 15 minutes and, hang out in that neighborhood and go back, and he did it multiple times. The night that it happened, there's ring footage of his car. He pulls in to the neighborhood and then he leaves. And then he pulls in and he leaves. And he does this several times. It's like he's fighting with himself. Do I do it? Do I not do it? Do I do it? Do I not do it? And unfortunately, the last time that he went in went into the neighborhood, he left doing, you know, murdering those four students. Okay, so I want to get into the genetic genealogy piece now. So the sheath evidence, the DNA that was found on that sheath evidence, it did not match anyone in the CODIS system. So this is the system that law enforcement uses to identify um, criminals. But in order to be in that database, you have to have committed a crime. So whoever committed this murder was not in the system. So they could not find a match. And that's when they went through genetic genealogy. They went through a public genealogy site, either GEDmatch or Family Tree DNA or something like that. So let's talk about what genetic genealogy is. So in this instance, you are looking for the suspect in the middle of this diagram, and their DNA is not found in the database, but you're able to find a cousin. And you if you've done a DNA test, you know that you end up with like so many matches and they're people you have no idea who they are, right? So this is kind of like that. You could find a match and these people don't even know each other. So the DNA tells you where the relations are, and then you search through public records to try to find the connections. Who could have been at the right place at the right time. My understanding was that they were able to identify Kohberger's dad, and that Kohberger's dad is the dad of whoever committed this crime, or I don't want to say committed this crime, whose DNA was on the sheath. So then they look, okay, how many sons, because the DNA found is male, how many sons of this dad were in the area? And here, that's how they identified Bryan Kohberger. Um, so once they've identified a possible match, then they start watching this person. The next thing they have to do is collect DNA from this person and go back in the lab and confirm that there is a match. So in that holiday season, when Bryan Kohberger had gone back to his home in Pennsylvania, the the police stalked the parents' house, they collected trash, and they tested the DNA, and that's how Kohberger became the prime suspect. Okay, now there are some problems here, and it has to do with the what the defense is saying that the FBI skipped some steps. There was no warrant, right? And FBI policy says that this genetic genealogy is supposed to be a last resort only after traditional investigative leads are exhausted. So I do want to point out anytime genetic genealogy is used, this is going to be something the defense is going to say. Because really, when you go and you do this type of search, it really is because you don't have any leads, right? Um, or it could be that you need to find this person fast because they pose a public threat. And essentially what's being said here, the prosecution will say that this was public data. So when they took that DNA, they looked through the databases, they used information that's publicly available. And then finally, they went back and confirmed everything with traditional DNA analysis. The defense will say this is a digital dragnet, that this is privacy violation, and it's dressed up as forensic innovation. Now, I do want to say, in my opinion, based off of his search history, based off of his behavior after, what happened on November 13th. And what I mean by that is the purchase of another weapon, watching the Ted Bundy documentaries, the selfies he took, the sheer joy on his face. I think this was something that could have happened again. So in my opinion, this was a threat to public health. Yeah. Let's see. Lulu's mom says premeditated. It shows intent. Yes. Yes, I did show that. Let me show you. It was the first this one? Sick. I know. Yeah. Wyatt Holmes says, "Anyone watch the video of when he was stopped by the police on the highway? He was with his father and his behavior." Yep, I saw that, and he was stopped twice. So, during the holidays in in November when or it was in December at some point. Sorry guys, I'm messing up the timelines. When they were driving from Washington to Pennsylvania so that they could spend the holidays together, during that drive, Brian was driving and he was driving so aggressively close to people, he got pulled over twice. And there's body cam footage of that happening. Yeah, yeah. Let me see. Okay. This was something I forgot to mention. So Poncho's saying that has anyone addressed why they knocked that house down so quickly? It seems so weird. So the home that they all lived in, I was really surprised. I was watching Dateline and I noticed that it looked like it was in the process of being demolished. So and it is. It's been demolished. I can't imagine. I mean, it's just such a this is probably one of the worst thing that's ever happened in that town, I would think. I don't know. It's just a living memory of something awful. I wonder if the owners just thought, knock it down and build something new. I don't know if they're building anything in its place. I haven't looked into that. Pancha says that was great training, nice presentation, and very educational. Thank you, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Carol says the prosecution and law enforcement were scared this was going to turn into, and I can totally see that because it was incredibly violent. The I haven't gone into all the details, but the things that were done to the male, Ethan Chafin, were I don't it was scary. So, there's a lot of behavioral analysts who look at these types of crimes and maybe they saw like this is something that has the high potential of happening again. Yeah. And I wanted to close this video out or this section out. I had two questions for you. So I'm going to ask all of you. And you know what? I shouldn't have given you my opinion about it. But who do you think has the better argument here? The prosecution with this scientific breakthrough, or the defense saying privacy invasion? And you know what? I shouldn't have used that word screaming because it's implying um, it's invalidating their claim because that is something we need to be concerned about, right? Privacy invasion. If your DNA, you submit it to something and it's used for something that maybe you didn't consent to, right? So it is something to think about. And then, oh, you know what? I want to do this at the end to make it kind of lighthearted. So I'm going to let you all answer this question. Who do you agree with more regarding specifically using the DNA on the sheath and using genetic genealogy to find a relative of whoever's DNA was on the sheath? I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. I'll be right back. Okay, everyone, I am back. Let's see. Let's see what the comments are. Ivy of Housebark says prosecution. Carol says prosecution. Yes, Carol. Stranger on stranger is very hard to solve. Exactly. Exactly. Pancho says, I just would think until the case is over if they needed the crime scene to remain, but maybe not. I would imagine that they've already collected everything they needed. I mean, I could totally see them, like, if there was carpet, rolling up the carpet completely and putting it somewhere. Um, I I would guess that a lot of the what was needed was collected. And I want to ask all of you again, in lieu of super chats, please consider a donation to the domestic violence hotline. The link is in the description of this video. Margaret, Margaret thinks with the prosecution. Yes, Sarah, exactly. It's just a technicality. Yes, I agree. I agree. I think so too. I really think so too. Um, Yeah, I really believe it, and I heard on the news, um, I saw a video clip because whenever I make these YouTube clips, I go and I look for footage, so that they can play in the background whenever I'm creating a video, and I found one news clip, and I think it was from last year, where they're looking to see if there could be any connection of Brian with any other, um murders in the Northeast. So, yeah, yeah. Lulu's mom, thank I'm glad you wanna know more about the case. If you have access to Dateline, that episode was really, really great. It's very emotional though, like, I cried through it. Peekaboo says, "I think law enforcement should just put out for a warrant. They would have known it was going to be disputed, but I'm on the side of the prosecution." But the thing is, they wouldn't know who to put the warrant on, right? So they use this genetic genealogy to lead them to the suspect. Yeah, yeah. Steve says the genealogy is only to identify the yes, to identify the suspect so they can stop them and get the DNA. Yeah. Poncho says, "When is your birthday?" Revealing. My birthday is on June 19th, you guys. I'm born on Juneteenth. Yeah, so it's coming. It's a Thursday, I think, this year. Yeah. Teaspoon, this is absolutely true. Yes, once you take trash out, it's okay to take. The problem is that um the dispute is when they took the DNA from the knife sheath and they put it into these genetic genealogy websites. And then that's what led them to Brian. After taking the trash out and that part, that's not disputed. That's okay to do. Um, it's what led them is basically the genetic genealogy part, going from the knife sheath to a person. Yeah. Sir Squirrel says, given disclosure agreements you have to sign in order to get DNA genetic information from various companies, there's no expectation to privacy. Yeah. 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 Let's see. Peekaboo says, I think law enforcement. Oh, I think I read that already. Um, he absolutely did have all the earmarks. And what he was studying, they were saying while he was in university that he wasn't very nice to people. He had a very difficult time with his female students because he was a teaching assistant. He was in a PhD program, and he wasn't. There were complaints about him, and actually, the a few days before the murders, he was either kicked out of grad school or oh no, he was put on an improvement plan because he had had arguments with professors. The ego on that, right? Like thinking that he knew more than the professors. And you guys, you know what? Go watch the Dateline episode because there's um there's escalation that happens. He shared an office with another woman and there is some weird stuff that happened there allegedly. So if you have an opportunity to watch that, um yeah, let me know. Let me know. Yeah. So I'm glad the genealogy wasn't taken from the company directly. It sounds like it was sourced as any private citizen would be able to do. Yeah. So that's what it is. So like anytime you do an ancestry DNA, you insert your DNA for that. th- I think there's a box that you can check that says you allow law enforcement to do it. And I don't know if you have to check that box or if you can opt out of it. Um, and that's essentially how. Um, that database is made, and then the FBI goes in and sees if they can find any relative to the DNA that's left on the sheath. What's his age? Let's check. What is his age? Wow. He's 29. And I don't know why that shocked me so much. I just thought he would have been a lot older than that. Yeah. Yeah. So so much. Hi, just me. Yes, why at home? I love genetic genealogy. And you know what's so crazy? All of the true crime stuff I've been watching lately since I signed up to take the genetic genealogy course, they're all genetic genealogy. Do you guys know the case of Sherry Papini? There's a new, is it on Amazon? No, it's on Max, I think. They talk about genetic genealogy even on that case. Um, Teaspoon says I'm going to rewatch the Dateline story. Yeah, it's very when they started talking about the victims, I struggle with creating this type of true crime content because there is a there are victims. Um, and in no way do I want to turn it into something that's for entertainment. I want to talk about it and learn from it. And for me, um, really what's interesting me with this case is the genetic genealogy part of it and the potential for catching other people. Um, yeah. Carol says serial killers start being active in late 20s. Wow, to early 30s. Wow. Teaspoon says he seems really creepy in the story of the stuff that went on. Okay, so you remember that too, Teaspoon? Oh, thank you, Kate, for gifting a membership. Ted Bundy started at that age, Carol says. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, so everyone, if this is interesting to you, here's my true crime channel if you haven't already subscribed. The the trial starts in August 8th. I think jury selection is July, end of July, like the last week of July. So I would love to take on an active, um, be active during that time, have as many people in the community as are interested, like walk through it, talk about it, and learn about our legal system and learn about genetic genealogy. And yeah, um, that is how they caught I didn't know they caught the Reaper that way. I didn't realize that. Oh, Kate, I just realized tomorrow is the anniversary of leaving my narc ex. I'm feeling inspired to celebrate every year by making a donation to DV survivors. That is so beautiful, Kate. I love it. Congratulations on that leaving. Congratulations on the peace that I hope you now have in your life, and how wonderful to be paying it forward. I love it. I love it. All right, everyone. Oh, you know what? I had one question because I don't want to end it on a dark note. I want to make some funny let's end this kind of positively. So if we're playing detective, like what are the things that you know what? Let's change this question around. In your own Amazon history, what are things that you would want deleted so that people wouldn't find out that you bought it? Yeah. Oh, so Teaspoon does remember it too. Yeah. So creepy. And I don't want to say it because I know that people are going to go watch it. So I don't. I don't wanna give away too much, and maybe on the next live stream, we can talk more about it. Also, let me know in the comments, was this interesting to you, like, bringing some true crime stories here and, maybe talking about the science? I would be really excited to talk more about genetic genealogy too. I find it so fascinating. I'm going through my Amazon, wish list right now, or not wish list, my Amazon purchase history. Okay, so what are things that I would like deleted? So you guys, Megan and Harry are they one of the projects they were supposed to have with Netflix is the production of this or the movie production of Meet Me at the Lake. I've listened to the audiobook of Meet Me at the Lake, and I've talked about it a couple times before, and there's a lot of people that want me to create videos and talk about it, so I purchased the book, the physical book, so that's one thing in my Amazon search history. Um, oh my gosh, the amount of dresses. Maybe I should delete a couple of these dresses. Um, what else? There's some dog toys for my little puppy. Yeah, none of these are embarrassing. Okay, this one is okay, do you guys wanna know an embarrassing one? Um, Carol says his DNA was put in CODIS, was close to his son, and they had the right family, and he was the wrong age. Got the dad from his pizza and drink. Interesting. Thank you, Carol. Oh, congrats. Congrats, Kate. Thank you, Eva. It's so interesting, isn't it? I love it. Poncho says, I'm proud of my Amazon history. Good for you. I love it. Steve loves the science videos. Carol says, books, cookware, clothing, and shoes. Yeah. Tiger Eye says there were 3 DNA found. Green Elantra looks white on night camera. Brian's vehicle was clean. Did anyone witness the female interview of DNA Dad? Please refer to that interview. Yeah, Tiger, I have not heard about I had not heard about 3 DNA being found. I had not heard about how a green Elantra could look white on a night camera. Um, I had not heard about the car being clean, and I do not know about this witness. So I um, I can only go off of what I've seen on TV and what I've read, and I think the trial is going to be eye opening because it'll it'll be an opportunity for both to put their case forward, and we could all have a change of heart when we watch it. Yeah, all I can do is give my opinion on the information I have so far, and I reserve the right to change my opinion. So yeah, thank you, Tiger Eye. Sir Squirrelot says, "Hey everyone, hit the like for RV." Oh, thank you. Rena says, "Amazon. I don't have kids, but ordered a bunch of baby supplies for a baby shower gift." That's really sweet. That's really sweet. I ordered um, I ordered some nail polish. Okay, so I got a really fancy coffee Nespresso machine. So I got all like coffee syrups and Nespresso pods and sauces, like all gourmet. I have Starbucks inside my own home and almond milk. I also got almond milk. Yeah, all right, everyone. I want to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for sticking through to the end with me. Let me know what your thoughts were on this layout for the live stream. I appreciate all of you so much for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. I will talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.